this. Freaking love you.
Stephen Kim loves me. Hello, my friends. Katie Day with the Move Me to Texas team. We are here with another episode of the Real Advice Podcast. This week's guest is literally one of my favorite people. I say this almost every week, but rings true once again. If you aren't following him on Instagram and on social media, you need to hop on over there, pause this, hop on over there and do that. His mix of Peloton riding, now Pilates, fun food, fun team shit, outdoor activities and adventures, and then of course, real estate knowledge and tips is just absolutely amazing. As far as real estate goes, he's known for a no-nonsense approach to selling real estate using technology and top-notch marketing. He is regularly used for like case studies on listing management, expired listings, listing marketing, and just kind of going above and beyond across the board. One of the things that I love most about him is that he loves bubbly water. So, you know, that's why we get along. Please join me in welcoming my good friend, Robert Mack.
Wow, what an intro. I'm going to take you everywhere I go, Katie.
Yeah, you know, I just love you, dude. I'm so
Thank
happy
you.
you're here today. What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm awesome. How about you guys?
Awesome. So, Robert, for the select few people who don't know who you are, give us kind of a breakdown, the Cole's Notes of kind of like who you are, how you got your start in the industry, and where you're at now.
Can we pause for 1 second? Cole's Notes. You mentioned this on a previous episode, and I didn't call you out. Is that a Canadian thing, or
it's a Canadian cliff?
What? You guys don't have? You guys don't? It's called Cole's Notes. It's like
Cliff's Notes.
Cliff's Notes, bro.
Cliff.
We call them Cole's Notes.
Huh.
Whoa.
You also spell favorite with a U, so
and color too.
Yeah.
And color.
And honor. Anyways,
and honor.
Robert Mack, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Got into the industry in 2007. Real estate wasn't something that I wanted to do. If we're being completely honest with each other, I was a complete loser from 2001 to 2006, had no job history, couldn't get a job. And my friend was like, dude, you should get into real estate because nobody can hire you or fire you. And I was like, okay, makes sense. I got nothing else going on in my life. So I got my license and I basically floundered for about 6 or 7 years trying to figure things out. Ultimately was connected to the Tom Ferry ecosystem, and the rest is history. So I've been selling for 16 years, based out in Newport Beach, Orange County, and starting to love what I do as we talk about building a team out and mentoring agents to build the most successful business they possibly can through the systems that I've generated and the mentorship that I offer.
That's awesome. So, I mean, that's how we know each other is through the Tom Ferry world, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, you said obviously that's been really big in the growth of your business and kind of the mindset and all that. So tell us a little bit kind of, I guess, on how that's impacted how you've gotten involved in Tom Ferry, kind of all that.
Yeah. So if we want to dive a little bit deeper, I'm an only child. And so I crave relationships. Like I need people around me because I was always by myself as a kid. And the one thing that has always been something that I've kind of lived by is I never wanted to ask to be a part of something. I wanted people to see me and say, I want him to be a part of this group. And that's how I've always kind of managed my life. So in 2013, when I got into the Tom Ferry ecosystem, I was the guy that was like excited to be in coaching, sitting in the back, didn't really know anybody, but was like in awe of all the greatness on stage. And there was a Facebook group back then, which we still have today, right? The Tom Ferry Elite page. And I noticed there was a group of people that were passing referrals to each other in my geographic area, right? So I'm in Orange County. There was somebody in LA. There was somebody in North LA. There was somebody in San Diego. There was somebody in San Bernardino County. And every time a referral came up in any of those areas, like all 5 or 6 people chimed in and were like, you got to use this person. You got to use this person. And I'm like, hey, there's something going on here. They've got some click going on and they're sharing referrals and that, you know, the whole politics of the whole referring.
Yeah.
And like, I really want to be a part of this group because they don't have anybody in Orange County. So I started to learn about all the different people that were in this group. And my goal was to start passing referrals to them either through myself or if I saw somebody post about that geographic area, I'd chime in right away and be like, you got to talk to so-and-so. And this whole group is probably like, who the heck is Robert Mack? Why is he so in love with us? That never came up. And for about a year, I was doing this and I still knew no one. And then finally, it was the summit of 2014. And my good friend, Eric Crumbaker, who started the Banana Real Estate Mastermind, came up to me and was like, Robert Mack, we got to hang out tonight. And I was like, yes, I'm on their radar.
I'm in.
And honestly, we partied all night and we hung out. And then on Monday, I get this text message that says Banana Real Estate Mastermind. And Eric's like, hey, gang, Robert's in the group now. He's official. He's Orange County. Let's take over.
Wow.
And that was literally the catalyst that sparked my ability to manage the ecosystem in a way that I was not only able to find mastermind partners, share ideas online, have people to hang out with at these events, right? These events are pretty intimidating if you don't have a lot of friends. And then most importantly, being able to meet other agents, great agents through the Banana Real Estate Group mastermind that helped me kind of get to where I am today, right? Yeah. And so when we talk about agent to agent referrals, generally I'll do anywhere between 7 and 10 agent to agent referrals per year, kind of low key. And that's all because of my ability to give to the group before I was able to receive from them.
This is classic law of reciprocity.
Totally. And the best part about it was, like, I never told them this story. They just all thought it happened organically. And then like 6 months in, I'm like, you guys,
hey,
I gotta tell you a story. And I was like,
that's how I got here, guys.
Nervous, right? Because I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna hate me. I totally used them. And they were all like, we love you even more that you did that. Like, you intentionally found a way to get on our radar. You found a way to bring us value. And you were able to elevate yourself, and now here we are. So one of my favorite stories to talk about, and actually I've never really told anyone else except for the Banana Crew. So now other people will know. So if you're an agent out there and you want to get on people's radars, find a way to give.
So
I love that.
Totally love the message behind that. I also think that it's funny because, like, I mean, Eric's one of your closest friends now.
He's become one of my best friends. I mean, you know how it is, right? Like, all of these people in real estate have become some of my best friends because they're the only people that understand the hell that we go through to be great agents and to run great teams. Like, it's not as exciting as it is on Instagram. And that's what people think. It's like, oh, it's so easy to be a real estate agent. It's tough. So having like-minded people in my inner circle that are going to help me grow, but also be there when I need a shoulder to cry on, is priceless.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you brought that up because, I left teaching almost 2 decades with the school board, and I remember leaving and going full time. And my managing broker at the time was like, it's lonely. It's lonely. And he's like, what you experience now is going to be a completely different level of loneliness when you become a top earner, a top producer.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I guess so. You're so, like, I don't know, you have no idea what's kind of going on, but I think that's one of the things that was a big learning curve for me, is adjusting to just how lonely it can be, right? You're the team lead. Everything is your fault. Everything is your responsibility. You're the one at the helm of the ship, no matter how shitty your day is going or how crappy your day is going. You're always leading the ship forward, come hell or high water. And it's lonely. It's lonely
and it's stressful.
Yeah.
It's just tough to be in a position where every decision you make it's on you. And so, having the mastermind and having the ability to bounce ideas off of great people and kind of pivot when I need to pivot, it just changes the game. Totally changed the game for me.
Oh, I love that. I love that you brought that up. Thank you. Thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's piggyback on that a little bit and kind of switch directions in a way. So team, right? You're a team leader. You've had a team for a while now. What made you start it? When did you start it?
So the conversation around teams got very heavy around 2013 for me. And at the time, I didn't start a team to make more money. That was never the intention. The issue with me was I was doing everything myself. When I left, everything stopped. Now, look, I'm a smart guy. I had backup, but they weren't these people weren't on my team. These were agents in a brokerage that I was like, hey, I'm going to be gone, but I need you to cover me, show some properties.
Yeah.
If somebody needs something, take care of it. But it was never any structure behind it. And what would happen was I'd go on vacation with my wife and I'd be working the entire time.
Yeah.
And she's like, you work all the time at home. We go on vacation. You work the whole time on vacation. Like, what's the point? And it wasn't even like a joking conversation. It was like, literally, what's the point? Why are we even going to ever go on vacation again? You suck. You're the worst person to go on vacation with. And that was when I started saying, okay, well, if I want to find a way to have a higher quality of life, I need to find strategic partners that are going to support me in my mission to serve the client at the highest level. So whether I'm here or I'm not, the client never gets affected. So, 2013 was the start of, hey, maybe I should hire an assistant. And that was tough. I got to say, I would say the toughest hire for me was finding a great assistant. So I went through 4 assistants before I finally found the one. Now, I did things a little bit backwards. I found it easier to find agents that would want to support me and take leads off of me. I found that to be a lot easier than finding an assistant. So I actually had 2 agents on my team before I even had an assistant, which was a total shit show. But ultimately, when I found that one assistant was when things started to be treated more like a business, right? So you know how it is. When you first start, everything is kind of in your head. There's no system in place. There's no process in place. It's like, what happens when things happen, but it's all up here. So when I finally hired my assistant was when we started taking things seriously and saying, okay, well, if we get an offer accepted, what are the 87 things that have to happen before we close? If we take a listing, what are the 47 things that we have to do before the home is ready for sale? When we bring on a new agent, what has to happen for us to onboard them appropriately? And that was where the game started changing a little bit. So now, if we fast forward a few years, I've got a full-time operations manager that doubles up as my assistant. We've got a full-time transaction coordinator that's virtual. We've got a full-time database manager and team appointment scheduler that's also virtual. We have a freelance photographer, and then I have 3 other agents on the team that support our business, all of which are listing agents as well, except for one of them. So one of my newest agents has been with me for about 2 months now, and he is primarily focusing on buyers. My approach is you can't be a great listing agent unless you understand the buyer psychology. Yeah. So work with buyers for a year, understand what makes them tick, and then use it against them when you're a great listing agent. And so team of 7 and continuing to look for great people to add to the team.
I think that's so bang on. I think what you just said right there is understanding the nuances of the buying process and the objections that buyers have has made me an epic listing agent.
Totally. If you know what the buyers want, if you know what makes them happy, if you know what makes them sad, if you know what makes them scared, then it's easy to structure the listing to cater to the buyer. And you'll never understand that until you work with like 50 buyers to really understand like what you're dealing with emotionally.
I love it. It's so funny you brought that up. I'm just going to share a little snippet. I was going up against a dominant neighborhood, expert listing agent, and the seller's like, yeah, but you've never sold in our neighborhood. And I said, you're right. You're bang on. I've never sold in your neighborhood. I've never been in your neighborhood. But let me ask you this question. Can you confidently decide on me or the other agent in terms of who's going to bring the avatar buyer to your home? Who's able to do it? The neighborhood expert or me, who's just told you who the buyer is going to be for your home? And right then and there, they're like, you know what? We'll go with you.
Yeah.
I just used that, and it totally crushed the neighborhood expert objection, all of that stuff. So I had to share that because it was like, that was bang on.
It's money, man. You're totally right. I mean, being a listing agent requires good marketing skills and a great pricing strategy. But at the end of the day, if you don't know who your avatar is, then how are you going to find them? Exactly.
Which was awesome. So let me ask you, Robert, you talked about having, 2 support staff being virtual. And I see this in the Tom Ferry pages, Elite and Core, to go virtual or to go in person. It's like 50% say yes to this, 50% say yes. Why did you choose to go virtual?
So I had been hearing about VAs since probably 2010. Okay. And I was always a bit skeptical about it. And then COVID happened. And then my assistant's like, yeah, I'm not going to come into the office. I'm just going to kind of chill because that's what everybody did. And we found that she was actually more productive at home than in the office. And I actually found that I was more productive when she was at home too. because we would talk less, right? We would only talk when we needed to talk, which gave us more time to focus on what we needed to focus on. And at the time, we were ramping up our sales to the point where she was also managing the transactions and the listing coordination and my assistant and the marketing. Like, she was overwhelmed. And we were getting to the point, she walked into my office and she's like sort of teary-eyed, and she was just feeling crazy overwhelmed. And she's like, at the rate that we're going, I can't continue to do everything that we're doing. We need to figure this out. And we hired, before that, about a year before that, we brought in somebody to act as the transaction coordinator. And what we found was, based on the amount of money we were willing to pay, no one really took that job seriously, right? So, I mean, we were looking to pay anywhere between $16 and $18 an hour. And I mean, you can get that at like El Pollo Loco if you want to. That's how much they pay in Orange County. So we found that the person that came in wasn't necessarily committed to the job. It was just a job for them. And we didn't know if they were going to be around long enough. It ultimately didn't work out. And so during COVID, I was connected to a company called Summit VA, which I think a lot of agents in the TF ecosystem use. And I'll tell you why it worked. I'm not a great trainer when it comes to admin staff. The reason why my assistant learned everything the way she did is because she just followed me around and watched what I did and then started taking stuff off my plate. So she learned through like practical, examples. The reason why the VA worked is because I wasn't in charge of hiring the VA. I basically told my operations manager, this is the person that you're going to be overseeing. This is what we want them to do. You go through the interviewing process because you're going to be the one that's going to be working with them. And then once we hire them, you train them. And she ended up choosing somebody that she felt was the right fit, even though I was like kind of iffy about it. And then I'm telling you, man, within 2 months, this VA was 100% dialed in.
Wow.
And what we learned, what I learned, and this is why I don't think I could have made it work if I didn't have my operations managers, because had I hired this VA, I would have had to intentionally get on these Zoom calls to show her what to do. And I don't have the patience for that. But my assistant did. So that's the biggest gap with VAs, I think, is if you don't have somebody that's going to be dedicated to training them, it's going to be a bumpy road. Number one. Number two, these VAs are engineers by nature. Their brains are very analytical. So if you can give them a checklist or a process to follow, they'll kill it. You can't ask them to be creative. Not all of them, maybe some of them, but you have to be super specific with them. And that's what my assistant did. And now Anne is our full-time transaction manager. Now she's helping with listing coordination. And now she's also, so when we get offers on our listings, it's her job to go through all the offers, audit them all, and break them down into a spreadsheet and send them to the agent so that the agent can share that spreadsheet with their client and then kind of audit which offers we want to counter and what are the terms and all that other fun stuff. So
I love it.
It's crazy because Anne is like 6,000 miles away, but I feel like she's so on our team. Like, she is such a gem. So I'm a big fan of VAs now.
That's crazy. Just quickly, where is she? So 6,000 miles away, like where
Philippines.
Philippines. Got it. Okay. Wow. That's epic. Thank you.
Yep. So we ended up hiring, because it was so great, we ended up hiring another one, and it's working out the same way. So, and then you just can't beat the price, $1,500 a month breaks down to like $9 an hour. This is the thing I love about it. The people that we brought locally just looked at it as a job. The people that we hire in the Philippines are so grateful for the opportunity to work for an American company and earn the money that they're making, even though it's significantly less than what we're used to paying locally. She's so grateful. I mean, I give her $25 quarterly bonuses, and she literally will send us text messages through Slack crying, like literally crying at how generous we are. She just bought her first home for $37,000.
Wow.
I'm getting the chills talking about it. But that money goes so much further in the Philippines than it does in Orange County. She's 100% bought in. She's diehard RMG. She'll jump on her grenade for us. And she's just amazing. And it's a huge win-win, because I'm keeping my costs down and she's getting paid 2 or 3 times more than the average minimum wage in her area.
Wow, that's epic. That's crazy. Okay, I definitely am going to take a look, deeper dive into that.
Dude, let's chat about it for
yeah,
sure.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Robert, let's switch directions a little bit. You do some great social media content, like you pump out some amazing content. Where do you go for inspiration? It's a question we get asked all the time with the level of content we put out. Like, where do you go? Where do you go for inspiration, for creativity? Share with us.
Well, I'd like to think that I'm a pretty creative person, just in general. I
Yeah.
like to be different. I was very heavy in social media, probably almost too heavy, for about 3 or 4 years with stories. And I sort of got burned out a little bit, and I'm kind of making a comeback with social media. But I honestly try to post things that make me happy. I want people to see who I really am. Like, I'm a big fan of, like, my vision. I'm the eternal optimist. So my vision is people will follow me on social media, fall in love with my personality, want to hang out with me, and then eventually call and say, hey, I know you sell real estate. I'm looking for you to help me sell or buy my property, right? So I don't do social media with the intention of an ROI. I really do it because it kind of puts a smile on my face. And I love the interaction. Like, I love the micro conversations through the DMs on stories. And you get those DMs on the side that are like, you've inspired me to do this, or you've inspired me to do that. Those make me feel really good.
Yeah.
I don't really have a strategy. And that's actually something that I'm changing in 2022. It was just kind of a by the hip, just shooting out whatever I felt like I wanted to shoot out. And now, like, I met with my ops manager yesterday, and we put together a content calendar for my personal social media for December.
Nice.
And I've got something that I want to specifically post every day of the week. And I'm committed to doing 31 posts in December.
Nice.
On my feed, to see what that does in terms of interaction and visibility and followers and all that stuff, as I literally am going all in on video in 2022. So this will be something new for me. I've never done social media or video with a strategy. And so it's uncharted territories.
One of the team members on my team after Summit started posting on social regularly, and his engagement and interactions is up 3,500%. And he sent a screenshot in Slack the other day. He's like, I guess the social media thing works. Like,
this video thing works, right?
Which is why you don't have to overthink it, and I get that a lot. I've been making videos since like 2009. It's kind of scary if you go back to my YouTube page and you look at some of the early on videos. Ugh, they're bad. But, people are like, how are you so natural on camera? It must be so easy for you. And I'm like, dude, I've been doing this for like over a decade. Of course it's easy for me. I'm very comfortable on camera. I'm happy to make videos. I'm happy to jump on podcasts. People are like, are you prepared? I'm like, we'll figure it out. I'll get through it. Because at the end of the day, this is what we do, right? Yeah. Like, we all know what we do. There's no need to overthink it. Let's just have fun. Let's offer value, and let's bring great content to the forefront of our audience.
And so that's something I want to dig into. Is I feel like you've been putting out I see the step and repeat behind you with your logo and all that. You've been putting out a lot of content, you and Ryan especially. Yeah. And one thing that I feel like you've been hammering on a lot this year is that even in a seller's market, we need to market homes as agents, right? For an agent facing, but to sellers, that they need to still prep the home for sale and do the things that they don't want to do to get top dollar. So I want to talk a little bit about that and kind of what are the things that you are adamant about, or I don't know if that's the right word, but that you talk to with sellers.
So yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I am a big advocate of home preparation, right? So a lot of people say the market's hot. Why would we invest X amount of money to sell for more when we're probably going to already get record price? And what I try to help people understand is when the market is hot, it's even easier to squeeze more money out of a buyer, especially if they fall in love with the property. So just because the market's hot doesn't mean you don't do what you need to do to get top dollar. And the easiest way I can put it is, if a seller can't show a buyer that they care about their property, then the buyer's not going to care either.
Love it.
It's as simple as that. And I literally tell sellers, I'm like, if you don't show the buyer that you care, they're not going to care. They don't care. you don't get the offer that you want. You don't get the offer you want, you're not happy. You want to be happy, right? Yes. You can't say no to that question. You want to be happy? Yes. So then here are the 3 or 4 things that we should keep an open mind, moving forward. And that's the thing I love. I love using words like reasonable, because I think you can't argue with reasonable. And I love telling my sellers, when I want to get a seller to agree to something that I know they're going to give me pushback on, it always starts with, I'd love for you to keep an open mind as we discuss the next parts, the next steps of my listing presentation. I'm not asking you to say yes. I'm just asking you to not be an immediate no.
All right, pipes.
And a lot of times
right?
we just go through it. So look, it's not rocket science. Like if the carpet's old or dirty, replace it or clean it. If the walls are dark or the house smells, paint it, brighten it up. If the furniture is old, let's kind of, let's mess with the design a little bit. But little things like we're working on a house right now where we just went through and we changed all the doorknobs and all the hinges and all the fixtures to be uniform throughout the house. Yeah. Now the kitchen has to be remodeled. The bathrooms are old, they have to be remodeled. But those little touches were recommended by my designer. My seller said, yeah, the house looks incredible now. The crazy thing is when you put the furniture in, the staged furniture in, people walk in, it feels great. They don't even care that the kitchen needs to be remodeled. They're like, it feels so great. We'll remodel the kitchen later. So I'm a big fan of home preparation. I would say of all the listings we take, we probably do some type of home preparation to about 80 to 90% of them. I'm really good at closing people on the value of investing into the property before you sell to maximize your net. And a lot of my reviews talk about that. A lot of my reviews say, like, when I first met Robert, he was telling me to invest $40,000 in the property. I thought he was out of his mind. But then he told me we'd sell for an extra 100 and we actually got 175. Listen to what he says. Yeah. Just listen to him. And my clients, our clients, and I would say the same for you, the ones that micromanage us, the ones that want us to do it their way, always lose because they're not in the business. They don't know what works. So I always try to tell my clients, like, the less you get involved, the more you'll win. Like, just let me do my thing. Give me the key and go away. Go on holiday. Just give me the key and go away. And I'll get you your check in 30 days.
I think I'm going to send you saying that to a few clients. No.
I do. I say it.
No, and the fixtures, like the hardware and fixtures, is such a big thing because when you walk into that house and it's all gold fixtures, you're like, oh, it's old. But if you switch them out to like brushed nickel or black or something like that, like no one's going to say that, even if the kitchen sucks. And the way that that is because you previously assisted a shit ton of buyers and know the market and know what buyers want. So
I mean, you walk into a house and there's gold, there's silver, there's bronze. It's a mishmash of stuff. And for $1,000, we could redo every single doorknob and lock in the property and all the hinges and all the little knobs. And now everything's uniform, right? With a little bit of paint, a nice stage, done, game over. Right? It's what we try to help our sellers understand is, we want to do our best to create a metaphorical model home based on the time we have and the resources at your disposal, right? So not everybody has $30,000 to invest in home preparation, but the people that do, it's a no-brainer because that $30,000 is going to be $150,000 on the back end, right? And we have strategies for even the people that don't have money. I mean, I've personally, part of the business that we run is, we actually will. A lot of people have asked, hey, do you pay for staging? Do you pay for the paint? And I'm like, no, that's all a seller responsibility. But have there been times where I have? Absolutely. If the seller is motivated and committed and has no plan B and has to sell and they don't have the money, I'll pay for the staging. I'll pay for the paint. I'll do what I have to do to maximize my client's net, as long as I know that they're in it to win it. So it's not something that we commonly do, but that is available because I don't want the client's inability to front that money to affect the net they get, because I know that the net they get is going to really put them in a better position to do whatever they have to do on the back end. And at the end of the day, we're in a business of serving. And when it makes sense to do those kinds of things, I do it.
That's awesome. I think that's great. I think that's service first, clients first, that type of mentality, that type of direction, you cannot go wrong. You cannot go wrong. You will absolutely squeeze out the slightly above average agents, the above average agents, and definitely below average agents. So I think that is the epitome of successful real estate right there, which is awesome. Mr. Robert Mack, we're going to hit you up with our last question, and this has nothing to do with real estate, and that is, it is your last meal on earth. What are you having?
Pepperoni pizza.
Okay, come on.
Real pepperoni, not that fake stuff that Marley eats.
Where? Where? Is it a place? Do you make it? Like,
you know, honestly, man, God.
Dude, you've made some good pizzas.
Pepperoni pizza on my barbecue. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those photos on my. Have you guys seen them?
Yeah.
So my mom is a great cook, so I give her the recipe for the dough. She'll make the dough for me because she's patient, and she'll let it rise and all this stuff, and then she'll give it to me. And I roll these like irregular shaped pieces of dough on my counter, and then I'll cook the dough on my barbecue right on the grill.
Nice.
With a little bit of oil.
Nice.
And I'll flip it over. I'll put all the toppings on it and close the top. And in 10 minutes, it's like thin, crunchy pepperoni pizza.
I'm hungry now.
Me too.
I'm hungry too.
Me too. Well, Mr. Robert Mack, we just want to say thank you so much for sharing all of your incredible information, insights, your wisdom. You are definitely the real deal. For the people who don't follow you right now, where should we be sending them?
Instagram is the best place. It's Why Robert Mack. WHY Robert Mack.
I love it. I love your handle, by the way.
I'm so glad we finally got to do this. You know what? I've been watching you guys do this podcast with all these rock stars, and I kind of felt like that third grader on the dodgeball field that got picked last. I'm like, pick me. And then
you've been on.
Thank you guys.
You've been on the list for a while, so don't feel slighted in any way. I'm
totally messing with you.
No. When we initially, what's funny is when I wanted to start the podcast, it took me probably 6 to 8 months to get Steve to commit to doing a podcast with me. Like, it was like total coachable moment. He's like, I don't have time. I have clients. I'm building my team. I've got a family. I've got this. I've got that. And I'm like, well, could you carve out 30 minutes in perpetuity on your calendar? Well, if it would be, what day would it be? Well, what time? I'm like, all right, sending you a calendar invite. But we came up with a big list of all of the rock stars, in the ecosystem and in the industry and you've been on the list for a while, man. You know how much I love you.
Absolutely.
So many great agents out there.
So
You included.
Thanks, guys.
Robert, I hope to see you at Elite. If we don't, then obviously you're soaking up the rays in Hawaii, so no complaints.
We'll see each other sooner than later, I promise.
Absolutely. Appreciate you so much, Robert, and hope to see you soon.
All right, thanks, guys.